Okay, so we're just gonna talk a little bit about this participation form, parent permission form. Everybody hear me? Okay. So, actually, I think I got Brandon as the host and I've got to take him off. So I'm gonna change that. Maybe. Brandon, can you make me the host again?
Yep, I just did. You're good.
Okay. What's that? Share screen, there we go. Okay, you guys can all see that? So this is what we've always used as the parent permit. Well, we've been using for the past few years for the parent permission form. We all kind of knew the day was going to come that we were going to have to start using it as the admissions application. We avoided it for as long as we could. Some of the reasons that we avoided it was because when they first brought it out, we found a lot of issues. This has to match with what USBE has on their programs. And so when the students try to put in their information, if anything is incorrect, birth date, gender, they spelled their name wrong, they have two last names, and it has a dash where USBE has a space, it won't let them through. It won't. They have to do that, and then if it doesn't match exactly, then it won't even let them start the application part of it. And so we've kind of fought against that. Unfortunately, and kind of fortunately, it's moved on to we have to use it as the admissions application. One of the things that it does is it makes it a little more difficult. If they have a social security number, they have to enter it. Like on the SLCC one, if they have a social security number but they don't enter it, it doesn't stop them from applying for the college. This one will, like it is a required field. The other things that we found is there is like this little email thing they have to do before it'll go to the actual admissions application. And some of you guys have been using this already for some of the other institutions. I know Weber is using it now. Utah, UVU has been using it for a while. Utah State's been using it since the beginning of its conception. So if you're working with some of those other schools, you're already kind of aware of the pitfalls, but I'm going to go through them. So once they get through the part where they actually have to match, they have to enter their email, and they cannot use their school email. They have to use a personal email. And then some of the districts, if they're doing this at their school, block them from accessing their personal email while they're on the school. At the school. So this may cause some issues for you because they have to put that email in, and then it sends them an email with a passcode that they have to enter. And then they have to put in their parent's email, and then they have to get that passcode from their parent and enter it. And that's all before they can even do the actual application. So those are some of the negatives of that. I am going to go to the positives. If they are taking classes at more than one institution, they only have to do this once. They just select the institutions that they're applying for, and it's all one application. The other nice thing about it is they will automatically match once you get them through the matching thing. So you guys won't have to go through and do SSID corrections at the end of the year every year. So those are some of the positives of this. I'm hoping that once we get used to it, I know it's kind of new and it's scary. I'm hoping once we get used to it and we kind of get around, figure out what we can and can't do, it will go a little bit smoother. They have, I believe, updated done a few updates that we requested, and it is available or going to be available in Spanish. Is that correct, Brandon?
Yeah, it's at least the first page is available in Spanish right now. See, there's
Okay.
up at the top, it says English. If you
Uh-huh.
change that drop down, it'll translate
Okay.
that page.
Okay.
After that, I don't think the form fields were translated. So
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Okay. So they've done a few of the things that we have requested. I know they were looking into the email issue mainly because of the fact that they can't use their school email, they can't access their personal email. That causes a huge barrier. And so we finally got USHE to kind of listen to us on that one. I hope they're looking into it and thinking about what they're going to do about that. But for right now, we're just going to have to deal with it. So when you get to this page, and I'm going to actually just copy and paste this, I'll also email it to you all, but I'm going to put this in the comments just so that you guys have it. And then I've got a couple of comments for students that do not have a social security number. So there are other options that they can put there. I believe there is an undocumented or other field when they're doing the application, and at which point they don't need to put their social. But then it's also going to start sending them information about things available to undocumented students. So there's that. There's the little handy little video right here. I'm not going to go into it. It's about 20 minutes long, and it goes through each step of the whole application. So if you have a student that's struggling, just they can go to that video and watch it and follow those instructions. Now we asked them to change this so they can kind of see what it is, what that download link is. They don't necessarily want you guys using it, so they didn't make it clear. This is the paper application. So if you are trying to get a student and you, for whatever reason, you cannot get them to match, this is the link to the paper application that you can send up to the Utah State, and they will process it. And so just beware that is available. It's not clear what it is, but that's where it's at. So once you hit continue after that front page, this is where you're going to put their information. So I'm going to, no, that's not his first name. I'm just going to spell his last name wrong so you guys can kind of see. What happens if it's not matching. Okay. There we go. Wrong child. You guys have never done that, I'm sure. So when I hit continue, it's going to say it doesn't match. If you've tried a few different things, I mean, when a student gets this error, I would suggest that they try, just check all their spelling on their names, check their birth date, their gender, and they need to be using the name and the gender that they were born with. That's what USBE has on record. So they need to be using their legal name. And then the other thing that I would check is sometimes if all of that information is correct, but they've recently changed high school, it won't match. That rollover that they do to update the high school that they're registered for doesn't happen until after August 1st. It used to be middle of August. They've managed to get it down to August 1st is when they said they will have it done for sure, maybe a little bit earlier. So if they've recently moved high schools, you may get that error because they're at a, they were at a different school before that's on USBE's record. So if at some point they cannot, under any circumstances, get it to match and everything is correct, you can click on this button. And I do need everybody that wasn't at the conference, that didn't give me names of who they wanted on there. Right now, we've got whoever USHE put on there, and they just went through and added all of the high school registrars. And so they will get an email if the student clicks on this. Your high school registrar will get an email saying, hey, they're having an issue filling out this form. Can you help them? So they can check the records and make sure everything is correct. Before you do that though, if you're there helping a student, I would highly suggest if they have like two last names, having them try using the dash or without the dash, or using one name or the other. Try it a few different ways before they actually do that or do the paper application, just for times to, saving time. So if you want those emails going to you, you need to just send me your name or whoever it is at your school you want. Like I said, right now it's the registrar. So we need to update those at some point.
Hey, Becky, I believe that we have the ability in our office to update who that goes to.
Yes, but I need to know who they want those going up to. So they need to send that to me and let me know what to update it to.
Okay.
So, and this is what happens when it's correct. He has done concurrent enrollment before, so I don't think it's going to actually take me to the application. So this is, they're supposed to be doing this every year, the parent permission form. So it'll send the verification code. Let me get that.
Hey, Brandon, can you monitor the chat? Because there are a couple questions.
Yeah, you bet.
Yes, so if they change schools recently and it's not letting them through, they're going to want to wait till after August 1st to do the application. As far as that goes, Gail, it's completely up to you. So I think it would probably be better to have it go to you. I can have it go up to 2 people. So I can have it go to your registrar and you, or just the registrar. You just have to let me know who you guys want it to go to. You could have it go to you and one of your secretaries. It's completely up to you guys. Like I said, I think it would be better to have somebody in your office do it or get the email, just because you're working with the concurrent enrollment. The registrars may have no clue what it is that they're getting that email for. I don't know how long it's taking them to do the paper ones, so I can't answer that because we haven't really done any yet. But you're welcome to try and let us know how it went.
My guess is that the paper ones will probably take substantially longer because somebody has to take that and manually enter it. And if they get quite a few, it could slow things down. I mean, if they got a couple of them, it probably wouldn't take that long. But if lots of people start sending in paper forms, then it could bottleneck the.
I'm just going to open the paper form really quick for you so you can see what it looks like.
I was just referring to sending a paper one instead of waiting until August 1st.
Yeah.
For those students.
I don't even know how long it's taking them to do things, so I don't know.
Yeah, you could always test it out with a couple of students, see what happens.
Yeah. So this is the paper form. These are all the questions that you're going to actually see on the application as well. So citizenship, all of that.
And you said this has to be done yearly.
This has to be done yearly, but the application part doesn't. So, so yeah, the paper application, and I believe it tells you where to send it to. So that's send the payment and this completed form to this address. They don't have a fax or an email or anything. It has to be mailed in with a payment. So that is the paper form. Let's go back in here.
And did you say so Weber's using this, everybody's using this?
Everybody's using this now. Everybody.
So we have students who are, we're doing scheduling right now, right, for next year. So we could start having these kids do it now?
You could, but it's not until May 4th. So on Thursday is when it goes live for us. So we're not going to have the data
Okay.
or before that to put into our system. So if they do it now, they have to do the application through Slick as well.
Well, I wonder, we should probably check, Becky, because if they fill this out now, then it won't be dumping into our system, but the data will be there. And on May 4th, it might just do a mass dump in there and then start generating admission applications for those students.
That could be, I don't.
But it's probably safer to just wait until May 4th. So Monday not Monday, on May 4th in the morning, we will roll over and to the new app, and then they can, or to this the participation form, and students can start using it. So she's just a couple days from now.
So I'm gonna get to that here in just a second, Connie. You didn't see me do this. He signs my name, I can sign his, right? Okay, so this is what it looks like when they've done it before. So at this point, he would be done if he's not going to any other colleges besides Slick. But if he wants to apply to any of the other colleges, and then if they're doing it the first time, it gives them an option. They can select the colleges they want to apply to. They have to pay the application fee for each one of those though. So yeah, and then so if they've done concurrent enrollment before through SLCC, this is what it's going to look like. Unfortunately, because I don't have any more kids that have never done concurrent enrollment, this is all I got. If you guys have another student we can look at.
So Becky, there's an application fee for this form for every university, for every college?
Yes, for every college except Slick. Ours is still at 0. So.
But I mean, for not the USHE form though. When you said they can click universities.
Yeah, so if let's say for fall 2023, he's going to UVU. Yeah, I don't want to click apply because I don't want to mess them up, but it's gonna, every time he adds another college, it's gonna add that application fee and they have to pay all of those.
Okay, but so this form ties into their applications?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is the application for all of the USHE institutions now.
Okay, so there's just one application that they have to do now if they're going to be going to Slick and Weber. What if they've already applied, but they still need to do the parent permission form?
That's what I'm doing right now. So
okay.
Yeah. So like if he's not going to any other colleges, so I'm just kind of showing you what happens if they like want to add another college on there. But this is what happens when they've already applied. It doesn't go to the application. They have to do the matching. They have to do the parent permission. And then they say, I am satisfied with the colleges, I'm done. And they're done.
Becky, here's where it's going to get interesting.
Mhm,
So there are lots of students that are admitted right now
mhm,
to Salt Lake Community College using the old app.
mhm.
But when they go to fill out the participation form, they're going to basically go through and fill out the admissions
Yeah, they're gonna have to
information
do the whole
again.
admissions again.
We should probably check today.
Fortunately, we have a 0 application fee, so it's not gonna cost them anything. But they are gonna have to do the full application the first time.
Well, we're going to need to talk to the folks later this afternoon with Enrollment RX to find out what's going to happen when you've got students coming in that already have an admission application.
It's gonna get stuck in matching and they're gonna have to manually push
Oh,
the
okay.
filter.
Okay, cool.
I feel like that's a majority of my kids right now.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So we're gonna have issues with that.
You won't have any issues on your end. It'll be us trying to clean up all these students that have already been admitted. And now they're getting thrown into the admission application process again. And we'll have to go through and clean up all those duplicates. Is that right, Becky?
yes, yes. Yes, Jennifer, if they've already applied, they still have to do the parent permission form. That's the requirement. That's actually been required all along, ever since they did this parent permission form. We just haven't tracked it. If they don't do it this year, I'm not gonna notice because we haven't been tracking them yet. But yeah, in the future, they will need to do this every year and they will need to do the whole process.
Now, I know that Slick has, you don't have an application fee, but what about those colleges that do have an application fee? Say, for example, Weber, and the students apply, they have to go through this again. Are they gonna have to pay another $35?
If they've already applied before, it's gonna list the ones that they've already applied. So like this
Okay,
one on
okay.
Jacob, you'll see it says Salt Lake Community College. If he had already applied at Weber or
Okay,
UVU, it would list those there as well. And he doesn't need to do the application or apply
Well,
to that.
but Becky, that's if they've applied using this form, right? If they've applied
Uh-huh.
using Weber's application, not the participation form,
Mhm.
then that could be an issue. And
That
probably
could
what
be an
Weber,
issue, and you would have to reach out to Weber. They may have already figured that out and have codes or something, but you'll definitely want to reach out to Weber.
well,
They
thank you for not
create-
having an admission fee.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons I pushed for the no admission fee is I knew this was already going to be a difficult process and so it was just going to make things a lot easier for all of us.
I want to clarify. So any of my students that's already applied, I need to contact them and tell them that they need to fill out this permissions form and then they need to apply again?
Technically, yes. That's every year. This is something that we've been telling everybody for years, that this is the parent participation form. They should have been filling this out every year anyway. Even if, we weren't using it as an application form, but they were still required to fill it out yearly. Again, it hasn't really been, because we don't track it, it hasn't been enforced, really. We just keep telling you they're supposed to do it. But yeah, they are technically required to do the parent permission, even as not using it as an application. So you can tell them it's not going to make a huge difference if they don't do it, but just, yeah, you should be telling them they're supposed to do it.
Okay, and it'll make them apply all over again.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not as the application on this part of it is really the biggest part is the matching and the parent permission codes and stuff. I've talked to a few of the schools that have been using this, the coordinators there, and they said it really hasn't been a big deal. There's other than the matching students. the application is not nearly as extensive as our SLCC application. Emily's saying the same thing. So it doesn't take very long to do the application part of it. It's just that matching and the email code thing. So do we have any other questions that we haven't addressed yet?
Oh, Becky, sorry.
Yeah.
So I'm actually sending out emails right now to remind the kids to apply. So I probably should wait then until like the 5th to continue those, right? And then they're gonna run into this, they're gonna run into the new system, not the old system. Okay.
Yes,
So
yeah.
I'll just put those
So
on.
Brandon
Okay.
has the website all built. He just hasn't published it yet. That will go
Okay.
on the 4th of May.
Okay, so I'll just put a hold on that until the 1st of next week or so. Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Becky, I have 2 questions.
Mhm.
So I'm just trying to wrap my brain around this. Is there a difference then between those that just need the parent part of it and those that haven't yet applied? Is there a different format? Like, or did I miss that, or is it all the same thing?
So if they have applied, if they've done the parent participation form in the past, it'll do what I showed you with Jacob. So it won't go
Okay,
through.
we've always used a paper version of the parent permission form, so
Yeah.
they've always had it signed, but it's never been through this.
Yeah, so we used to do a paper participation form. This is something that USHE developed. I don't know how long ago was it? 5 years ago, Brandon? 4 years ago? And they wanted us all to use it. It was meant to be an application that all of us could use. But we saw so many issues with it. We said, we're not using that. So, but they said we are required to use it as a parent participation or a parent permission form.
But it's the
so-
same thing, whether or not they have applied already or not.
Yes.
Okay, that was part of my question. And then the other thing is, how is this going to impact? Like my students are almost all on site, like on campus concurrent enrollment, and it just opened for them. But then having to wait until May 4th gives them 3 more days for other people to get into those classes that they're trying to fight for.
If they've already applied, they're already in our system and they're good.
Okay, I have at least one that's right in the middle. Like he applied for admission on Friday. We don't have his S number yet, so I haven't been able to request his
Yeah,
classes.
that's not gonna, it's not gonna
Okay.
affect any applications that are being done through the SLIC system.
But they will still have to go and fill this in.
On
It
May
won't hold them for
4th,
registration.
it's going to, that application, they won't be even be able to, like, if they try to apply with Salt Lake Community College, it's not gonna give them the concurrent enrollment option.
Okay,
Unless they go to a private school, because we have private contracts with private schools that private school students won't work on the USHE form. So the only schools that will be listed as concurrent enrollment on the SLCC system is going to be our private contracts.
okay. So if I have a student, like we just barely sent out information, and so I feel like I've just sent out inaccurate information to all my students. If they are still planning on taking fall classes, they haven't maybe started the application yet, but they're trying to get into fall classes that are already open. Should I make them wait until the 4th, or just tell them do the old application, get it through, and then they'll have to repeat it, but they'll have their classes open?
Yeah, it's completely up to you how you want to do that.
All right, thank you.
Okay, can you back up and show us the difference between doing the whole application versus just the parent portion? So that's where I can't, because because I've already done the parent permission form and applied to Salt Lake Community College in the past for Jacob. It won't take me to the actual application. This is what it takes me to. So a new student's going to see the actual application. Yeah.
Yeah, you're good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, Brandon's got that. Any other questions on this? I know a lot of you have already had to deal with it. It's not easy, but I think eventually we'll get used to it and we'll get through it. My biggest concern is some of these students not being able to get through that matching process, getting frustrated and just deciding they don't even want to do it. And so that's all been our concern all along. So if you're seeing a lot of that, please let us know. Maybe even kind of keep a log. I don't know, so we can kind of let USHE know, because they have been adamant that there's been nobody that has started it and not finished it and just didn't do it. Okay, they admitted there were a few, but not many. So that's our biggest concern. We don't want this to be a barrier to students that want to do college. Any other questions?
I'll just add too that that we have, like Becky said, on May 4th, we'll roll over our website. Maybe I can just quickly share my screen and show you what's changed and what, because I know a lot of you have already sent out materials, so we tried to like make it as undisruptive as possible. Or Becky, maybe you can go to the concurrent website, because mostly everything is there since you're already sharing your screen.
Yeah.
So I updated a little bit of the content. There were some things that were required when students were completing the current admission application. So if you just go into admissions there, go ahead and do that. This is where students will go to complete the participation form. So I've adjusted a little bit of language on this page based on some of the changes as they use the participation form versus the admission application. So the language has been all updated and is live there now. But down towards the bottom, if you scroll down to the bottom, the apply for admissions, right now, if you click on that, it will take you to the SLCC admission application. But on May the 4th in the morning, I will go ahead and roll over so that when students click on apply for admissions, it'll take them to the USHE participation form. So you don't necessarily have to redo your materials to put in a new link for where that's going to go. All you have to do is direct them to this page, and that link will take them to the participation form. So that nothing's changed there, just a little bit of the language. And you'll notice it even says right now under the what you will need to complete the admission app/participation form, it says down there after May 4th, a parent or guardian email would be required. One of the things too that we've done, or that we removed from our website, is on the registration tab at the bottom. It used to have the link to the participation form. But what we're doing is we're not even calling it a participation form anymore. We're just calling it the admission application, because participation is built into it. So rather than confuse students and say, well, there's the admission, there's the participation form, there's registration, like we're just calling it admissions. And this whole like annual thing where they have to go and fill it out every year, we like that's on USHE. Like, I don't know how they're doing that, if they're going to send a reminder to students or what. Like, trying to keep track of that could be a bit of a pain. So the main thing for us, the only thing that's non-disruptive or that's disruptive is if they don't get admissions done. And as soon as the admissions is done, like, they're good to go on our side, getting registered, all that kind of stuff. This annual participation thing, like, I don't know who's tracking that and what the consequences are if a student doesn't do that right now, because I mean, once it's done and their data matches, like, that's the main thing that USHE cares about. And for funding purposes, as long as their data matches, like, we're good. And as long as they're admitted to us, like, they're good. So the whole annual filling it out a second time, I'm not sure who's going to track that and what the consequences are. So anyway, and I also updated on under the resources, there's the welcome letter template with the checklist. Like, that was also updated. I think I just removed one thing, the participation form, and now it says admissions, registration, and links them to some resources there. So those are the two things that have been updated on our website. And like I said, May 4th, this button will take them to the participation form. So.
Brendan, I just had a question as to if it would be possible to, since we have already sent out the information, ours started kind of going all over the place too, as far as applying and getting applied before the end of school. Would it be possible at all for SLIC to have, when they click on apply for admissions, that it just doesn't let them click on it and there's a message or something that says come back May 8th? Would that be possible at all? So they don't have to go back and do it twice?
Yeah, well, what we could do is, let's see.
I'm worried that that's going to make my students not be able to get the classes that they need if they're on top of it and want to apply before May 4th.
Oh, got you. Okay, yeah. And I definitely don't want to create issues. I was trying to help for all of us that have, sent out all these messages, and then we have these kids go in and they're like, oh my gosh, I got to do this again, and they don't, or something, But what everybody agrees on is good with me, and if this is what's going to work, that's what's going to work.
Yeah, well, it won't, like if a student is like, I'm gonna get admitted today, and so they go home and they get admitted to Salt Lake Community College, and then later they come back on May 5th and they click on this button again because they've been told to, and they fill it out. Nothing is going to happen to them. Like, they're already admitted to the college, and all it's going to do is create a duplicate application on our side, that when it comes in, the admissions office is going to be like, oh wait, the student already applied. Okay, we have to delete that application. So they're already.
Okay, so is there something in there that's going to tell them they have to come back May 5th or 8th or whatever? Or, how do they know that?
Because you would tell them.
Oh, okay. So yeah, see, that's a whole nother system that has to go out with to all of our students again, telling them this. So that's what I was trying to avoid, because it's quite a process. We have a huge concurrent enrollment, huge. So like, I think the biggest out of the district.
Well, so, if your previous instructions should have been telling them that they needed to do that parent permission form. So
yes, yes.
Yeah, if you did that, I would just leave it at that.
Okay. Yeah, we went into that very
like I said, we're not tracking if they've already applied. We're not tracking those that are doing the parent permission form after. It's the only way that we can track this is if they admit and they're a new student to us. That's the only way we know that they've done this.
Okay, yeah, and we did go very much into detail with that with our letter about that. So yeah, so okay, good. That makes me feel better. I think we'll be good then.
Yeah,
good.
So Emily was asking about redoing the parent permission form at the beginning. No, they don't have to redo it. They just have to do it annually. So for each academic year, they've got to fill this out. And again, like the once they do the full application that I can't actually show you, and then they'll just have to do that part of it. This is what the short little, what was it, 3 pages. So they don't have to do it again at the beginning of the year. As far as deadlines go, this will shut down on the day of our application deadline, and they will not be able to apply or do the parent permission after that. So just be aware of that.
Brandon, will the video tutorial and the download PDF tutorial be also updated?
No, so we are actually going to clear those out, because on the homepage, like Becky showed before, there's that video tutorial that USU has created. And it's so Becky had said it's 20, it's actually only 9 minutes long, which is
that's right. They did shorten it, but
tutorial. Yeah. I mean, nine minutes is still a long time, but really, it's sort of out of our hands, this application. So I would just point them to that tutorial right there if they get stuck.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you bet. There was another question that came up that I think would be really important to address. This one says, what about students who are doing the application for the first time and have parents that don't have emails because of language barrier? How will we get their code for them? to continue to apply. That's a tricky one. And I think in those cases, like that would be either a paper form, or if the student has a second email that they want to fill in and then print it off and give it to the student. I mean, I asked Julie Hartley over USHE and said, so how do we address those kind of things? I mean, do we just have the student forwards the signature? And she's like, oh no, we can't do that, even though we knew that really is going on in some high schools, where the student is just like, my parent doesn't have an email, so I'm just going to create a new email address and submit that, or enter the high school email address or whatever. That's something I guess you'll just have to figure out, like how to address those. Either use the participation form, or if the student's got 2 emails, use the other email, I guess, and then try to inform the parent somehow. So yeah, that was one of our big concerns that we had brought up. And unfortunately, they never gave us a good solution beyond that paper version. But that could be a fair number of students out there that are coming from certain demographics. So.
Okay, Brandon, on the website, you put that the social security number is optional. I know this was brought up to USHE, but I thought they said, no, it's going to be it's still mandatory. Like they fall off on that one, I thought. Did that change?
Where's that at?
Right here. This is optional, but strongly recommended.
Okay, yeah, I'll update. I'll get that updated.
Okay, so it's optional right now. But when we start using the participation form, I believe that is mandatory. We tried to make it optional. They said no.
So I just wanted to give people that work at tech centers a heads up. The only issue I had working with this form last year was when we had kids coming from like charter schools or private schools, or that didn't have like a contract with the institution that we were working through. When they tried to fill out the form, it wouldn't let them. Does that make sense? So I had to call USHE and say, hey, I had this kid coming from this charter school, but they're coming to the tech center and they're going to take concurrent enrollment credits at the tech center, but they were putting in their charter school, and that charter school wasn't, I don't know what the terms are, accredited or whatever, didn't have permission to work with, say, SLIC or UVU or SUU. And so I just had to call USHE and say, hey, this is the situation, and they worked things out for me.
And if I recall correctly, on the full application part, which we weren't able to see because it was already done, but on the full application part, if they're at a tech center, they still put their home high school, correct?
Correct.
Right. Okay. Because I'm at C-Tech, and I remember I was helping some UVU students and they got really confused with that, and I called them. So so if they're at a tech center, they have to put their home high school on the application.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's see. If they don't complete the permission form, will they be able to register for CE classes next year? If they did the SLCC application, yes. Have a meeting scheduled with kids to get admitted tonight, so don't do that. Don't do what? Jessica?
That
Okay.
was in referral to, yeah,
Oh, okay.
we already covered it.
Andrea says Granger High has already admitted a lot of students. Where's the teacher's responsibility in all of this? Andrea, you can tell your teachers to ask your students to do the parent permission form. If they've already admitted, like we said before, if they don't do it, then it's not going to really have a negative effect on them. But yeah, I would just, either you or the instructors can send out an email just saying, hey, you need to do this. Like I said, and they will or they won't. It's really doesn't make a difference if they've already applied. Have any high schools been using it yet? has anybody used this form at the high school in our service areas that have any input they want to put into this? Like,
This is the same form that they use for the bridge, the dual language programs. And I mean, it's kind of a pain to do, but if you just walk them through the process, we do it as a class and then have them go home and check their emails with their parents. It doesn't take that long.
okay. So, yeah, Connie, if a student's parent doesn't have an email, as Brandon said, you can do the paper application. You can call the USU support line and they can kind of tell you if there's, anything else that they can do. But as far as I know, there's really not, if they don't have an email. I mean, I won't give you any suggestions, but you could do things that I've done where I just signed my own son's name.
That sounds great.
So, yeah, that's parent permission form is now going to be the application starting May 4th. You'll see it. Brandon will probably do that early Monday or Thursday morning. So we're gonna cross our fingers and hope that it goes really well. And we're not gonna have any major issues. I'm expecting issues. Like, it doesn't matter what you do, you're gonna have issues, but I'm hoping for no major issues.
Hey, Becky, I'd like to add too that so once they complete the participation form, there's a confirmation at the end, and we have the ability to customize the text there. What we've added right now is that once they've completed the form, let me just look at it really quick here and tell you what it says. It just basically welcomes them and says that now that you've completed your admission application, here is what comes next. Number one is attend a concurrent orientation. And then what we do is direct them to the advising page where we've got the little 20-minute orientation video that goes over all the foundational information about being successful in their first concurrent enrollment class. That page also tells them that their high school may offer something similar. So just to get some basic information about how to be successful. Then it says they'll need to get their SLCC student number, which we're thinking it may be emailed to them almost immediately, their S number and then their username. But we're trying to confirm, because we know that the app is for the traditional students. That was a change recently. We're going to confirm that happens also with concurrent enrollment students, that they receive immediately an email with their S number and their username. And then after that, we give them information about where they go to know how to register for classes. So those are the sort of the 3 steps once they've admitted. And like I said, we're referring to this as not as the parent permission form or the UC participation form, but the admission application, just to try to simplify it.
Okay.
So if you had any,
so you guys are aware, this is what the parents will get once permission is done. So it kind of gives them all of that when it was signed. So just thought you guys like to see what the parents get when they sign that. Were you gonna say something else, Brandon?
No, I think that's good, unless there are any questions. I mean, it may be good to, are there any questions that were in the chat? There were quite a few that came in that haven't been answered yet that you would like to maybe ask.
I actually this is just a comment, but I actually, in reading this, I actually think this is another positive because it's really cool that the parents know the kids have to register, the kids have to do that, you know, it's not. So they know, so it kind of falls a little bit on them as well, as then just, you know, that someone else knows besides the student and us that this needs to happen. So I kind of like that.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that we have been missing for a while since they moved over to this, is like, we have no way of tracking who has done this and who has not done this. And
Yeah.
so we didn't know who was actually getting the information. I know that it was a very few percentage of students that are actually doing this participation form.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's kind of another positive of it. So yeah.
Yeah, so that is one
If
positive,
the-
that now we know the parents are, well, as
If
long as
they read it.
as long as they use their parents' email, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
we
If
know
they
that
use
the
their
parents are
parents'
getting-
email and the parents read this huge long email, that's another thing. Will they read it? But at least it's there, you know? So.
Yeah, yeah. So when they call back and say, well, I didn't know that this was okay, and like, well, you signed, you signed for it, you agreed to it, so
Yeah. Yeah.
anyway. Yeah, I mean, it's completely up to you if you want to do it as a group, or if you want to just send your kids at home to do it. It's completely up to you how you want to do that. But Lisa, in her case, she's been doing it as a group, and it seems to work better for her that way. So
I see that Connie just posted too, that some of her students just applied and they did receive an email with their username and S number, which is wonderful.
perfect.
And then she asked if there was a time period or a lag. There shouldn't be, it should be instantaneous. Unless it goes to spam, which is part of the reason why they have the more lengthy email verification process. One of the things that I had asked the last meeting is, could we not, instead of sending they type their email, it sends them a confirmation, they go in, they click the link to confirm that they received the email. Could we just have them double type their email address to verify that there aren't any typos in it? But it sounds like so far they're wanting that extra verification step just to get it out of the spam filter, if it isn't a spam filter, and confirm that the email is legit. But I think with the issues around high schools blocking this email for the student's high school email address, like that, I think some servers will block the USHE participation form emails that go out. And then, like Becky said before, personal emails, Gmail and Yahoo and all that, sometimes the schools block those. So maybe with that down the road, we'll be able to just go with the double, just student enter your email twice, parent enter your email twice, hit submit, done, instead of having to go into their box, but we'll see. So, but right now, yeah, it should be instantaneous.
I don't think there is really a test application or account, because it would have to match somebody in the USHE's database. And they haven't really, I just have been testing with my son. So all I can say is you might want to just, grab a student that's a little more understanding, that you have a good relationship with, and let them, have them let you use their information, let them work together to kind of get it all figured out. It really is not difficult. That, like I said, the application part of it really is not difficult. It's going to be the problems you're going to run into are matching, specifically for students that have two last names. Those are ones we run into the most. So is that matching, and then getting those email verification codes. Okay, no more questions, or I haven't seen anything recently. If everybody's good, I think we can be done, and you guys know how to get a hold of me if you do end up with questions. The instructions at the beginning of the permission form says that it needs to be done in one session. How do you have the students start the process of school and wait for the parent confirmation? That's a good question. And yeah, they would have to text to their parents or call their parents and ask their parents to send them the code, or they would have to do it at home. I have been told by USHE that they can leave that browser open. So if they have it open on their Chrome, they can do all of the first part of it at the school and then take their Chromebook home and have their parents do their part of it. But they would have to leave that browser open the whole time.
So what happens if they do this at home and the student does exit out of it? What happens then?
Then they have to start over.
Okay, so it's not that it has to be done in one session or they can't. It'll stop them from applying. It just, they have to start over.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
No, let me add too that as you're using this, so when we roll over on the 4th, we would love to hear how it's going. So let Becky know if you do run into any problems, because hopefully you've got some students that are going to be working on it shortly after the 4th. For those of you who try to get admissions done before you leave for the summer. And hopefully it's just, we have a lot more admission applications come in the fall. So if we have a few coming in now is a really good time to test it and run into problems and let us know, so that hopefully we can get all those corrected before fall hits, and then it gets really crazy. So try, like, if you have a student that fills it out, check within a couple of days in My CE and see if they're showing up. They should show up within a few days after completing that, and if they're not, then we want to know that so we can get it corrected and figure out what's going on before things get crazy. So test it out, make sure everything's working from the point of a student completing it till they show up in My CE. And if that's working, then I think we can breathe a sigh of relief and knowing that the process is working.
Okay, well, you know how to get a hold of us if you need anything. Thank you guys all for coming and working through this with us. Like many things, it's not by choice. We're not trying to make things harder for you. We have tried really hard not to make it harder for you, but we are told we have to do this, and we may end up liking it. I'm gonna have an open mind and say we may end up liking it better.